Welcome to the Day Trading Show, everyone. Today, we have another special guest. We've been bringing a ton of guests on for you guys to start the new year, and we're going to keep it rolling. This time, we're talking with Mike Diaz. Mike is a longtime ASFX member. He's been to a couple seminars, the retreat. So he's deep in our community, and he's going to share a lot of value with you guys on part-time trading, how he's managed to trade successfully while still working another job, what balancing that looks like. And he gives some really good tactics as far as what you guys that are trading part-time can do to make it easier for yourself. So sit back and enjoy today's episode. All right, everybody, we're back with another episode. So today we are speaking with Mike Diaz. Mike is a Florida boy like myself. He's from the other side of Florida, and we're going to be talking about trading part-time, balancing learning how to trade and then successfully trading with other things going on in your life. This is something that is relatable to everybody, right? This is not just to people that have a job. If you have a big family obligation, or if you do a lot for your community, this is going to be a topic that I think can relate to you. So, Mike, thanks for joining us, bro. It's good to see you.
Man, thank you guys for having me first and foremost, and just thanks for having me on.
Absolutely, bro. So Tom and James, this is the first time that you guys are meeting Mike. I'll tell you, me and Mike have met 3 times in person, Mike. Was it 2 seminars and 1 retreat, or just 1 retreat and 1 seminar? I want to say it's 2
Um,
seminars, right?
I believe 2 seminars and
And
then
the
a
retreat.
retreat.
Yeah. So Mike was with us
Yeah,
last year when
yeah.
we had the event in Orlando. And I think you came to 2, one in Tampa and 1 in Miami. Yeah, I think that's what it was. So Mike's been to
hmm
a lot of our, been through the system in ASFX a lot now. Mike, I know you were going to speak about your trading strategy in a minute here, but over, the last, I would say 2 years we've known each other is really when you've been involved in ASFX. Was that your intro into trading, or were you trading before you joined our group in our community?
Yeah, so unfortunately, kind of like everyone else, my Forex journey started with, MLM and that kind of whole route. From there, I actually ended up in a group that's based out of Orlando
Okay.
that's no longer really a trading group anymore. But to be clear, like none of them had any systems in place like, you guys have. It's, where you come in, you learn the basics, you learn the technicals, pattern here, pattern there. You get your keywords, you get your understanding of the market, but nothing really of significance, I guess I would say, to my trading journey, where it was like ASFX, where I kind of came in and honestly realized, like, okay, like I think this is actually something different than what I've really came across, where I feel I actually felt inside like the opportunity there was actually a lot bigger than it kind of felt before, where I was just either starting at a new group or just finding something new on my own.
So what was that first light bulb moment when you came into ASFX then? Was it, oh, I realized the stuff I was just doing was not going to get me to where I want to go?
It wasn't really that. It was just mainly the structure to it, all the other places, they didn't really have a clear defined system with a set of rules. It was more of like a kind of build your own thing. You'll learn from them, you'll pick up some things, and then from there it's just kind of all right, figure it out from there. Once you take the course and this and that, if there even is like a solid structured course, it's kind of just piecemeal what you have and then kind of create your own system.
Yeah.
Um,
And do you think that helps, like going through the course in ASFX and then coming into the community where everybody is on the same page because they've all gone through that same course before they come in? What do you think about that? And is that something that helped you coming into after?
yeah, that for me honestly is like the clearest difference maker, because there's other courses where you take them and you honestly didn't really have that much of a community, where everyone's kind of just individualized. But you guys have it to where, once you take the course, then you're in the Discord. So now you're actually getting to confer and, communicate with others that, hey, I just took this course. You know, of course, I've gone through it multiple times, but it's a great feeling to be able to share that and communicate with others who also went through the same thing and say, oh, what did you like about it? And you almost see the different points of view to the same content to where you're like, oh, I just watched this course and I missed that. Or I just watched this course and I saw it completely differently. So it's very helpful.
And I noticed like over time, it's opened up the opportunity for guys like you who like everyone knows you in the group chat, like you don't post all day every day, but when you post, people react to it, they read it, they give you feedback, and they look for you to give feedback often. So I think the Discord, with the way that we set it up, where you have to see the course to get into it, that also opens up the opportunity for people like yourself who want accountability through leadership can have it, So I think that was another big thing, because knowing you and I've seen your trading growth over the last, like I said, 2 years or so, you've really become a stickler for the details and the process and the rules. The outcomes of the trades are almost like the last thing that I ever see you talk about. It's what was the reasoning, what was the mindset, where's the risk.
Mm-hmm.
So talk about for a second, like, how has your perspective on risk changed over the last year or two?
That's a really good question, because honestly, when I came in, my trading honestly was defined by the outcome. So if I had a good trading day, you would know, because I'd have a smile on my face, I'd be happy, and so pretty much my emotions were significantly correlated to the outcome, to where now it's honestly the complete opposite, of where regardless of the outcome, I'm more happy and confident based on what happened prior to that. So, you know, not it's really, I know it doesn't make sense to most common people, and especially I guess I could say as an American almost, but you're brought up with like a set of beliefs, I would say. And most of these beliefs I've honestly had to work out of for the past year and a half or two, to really allow me to kind of get where I am trading wise. So it's really a working out of certain belief systems, and kind of not tagging your emotions and kind of your well-being for the day to that end day's result.
Yeah.
I think that's a transition that every new trader has to go to. We all come into this wanting to make money, and we do attach ourselves to the outcome based on our P&L at the end of the day, when really we should be attaching ourselves to how well we follow our trading plan. And you said that you've managed to make that transition. Was there any part of that journey that sticks out into what really helped with that mindset shift?
Yeah, the main thing for me, and of course the slogan for you guys is less, doing less. The thing for me was, there was really no such thing as less, honestly. If I could be honest, there was no less. If I took a trade and it didn't go in my favor, and I either took it personally or emotionally, like felt, I didn't deserve that for the day, there was no such thing as less. There was plenty of times I would take trades off edge and I would take a loss, and 30 minutes later, rather than just shutting it down for the day, I would be going back into the market and honestly doubling my losses. For everyone that revenge trades, I'm telling you, I've been there and done that. And probably 10% of the time you get to break even or make a little bit more, but most of the time I was just honestly doubling my losses. So it was really the shift of saying, okay, like rather than just taking multiple trades a day and just kind of just being at the whims of the market, why don't I actually focus on less and, implementing the things from the course, like placing the letter grade and the proper risk per letter grade as well, to say, okay, most trades I took were C setups. So rather than taking 6 C setups out of the week, maybe instead of any of those, I take 2 B setups and 1 A setup for the week, and we'll see how that goes instead. And actually, like putting that into practice, it was trial and error, of course, but once I put it into practice, it was that light bulb moment where, okay, like this is a lot more about kind of deleting the self-infliction and letting the system that is taught on the course just kind of play out and do its thing.
Really well said.
I was going to say that was very well said, but it's well said because it comes from experience, right? Like we had a girl in the Black Shirt Club. She'll be listening to this, I'm sure. She's working with Tom specifically, and she recently blew up and had an issue where she overtraded and made it, a serious mistake that set her back a little bit. And I think for all of us, we have to get to that point of like touching the hot stove to where it burns you so bad that you're either going to quit or you're going to stop. You're going to make the change. So I think what you did really well, Mike, and this is what Rachel's doing and what I see a lot of the Black Shirt Club members, like you assess the weak points and then you really set small, like little steps towards making improvements in those areas. So I'm curious, when you look at your trading now, what areas are you trying to make improvements in most? Is it still the doing less, or is it some other area of the trading that you're really trying to make improvements in?
Yeah. Now this is kind of like a disclaimer I want to give is like, most of my outlooks whenever I started a course or something was, and I've had like other coaches or whatever they called themselves before, pretty much almost hype me up to say, be ready to make a few thousand next month. It's really not the case. It's mainly a lot of personal development, honestly, like trading aside from like football and just everything else in life. I would say trading is the one thing that has really like developed me personally. So when I joined, it was probably about 5 to 6 months before the backtesting course came out. Okay. So when I first joined, backtesting, like what is that? So it was really implementing things like that of backtesting, usually using a daily trading journal. Because I used to just trade and okay, I took 4 trades that day and nothing was saved. No markup was saved. There was no notes. There was no journaling. There was nothing. So from there, I was able to actually do the journaling, do the back testing on, kind of the specifics I made out of each system and see, okay, so if I actually stick to this and kind of eliminate, the urge to trade or the FOMO or things like that, it would actually increase my profitability curve very much. So it's kind of a developing process of saying, okay, now that I have this course, let me, do my personal nicks and tweaks to however I want to trade it. And as I do that, let me kind of see the mistakes that I'm doing often and start to take those out and just refine from there. So it's more of a process of just journaling, acknowledging the mistakes, because there was times where I didn't want to acknowledge those mistakes. And then from there, just refine on that, and you'll honestly see it for yourself, honestly.
It's a really powerful technique, I think, is like you say, when you can see the cost of your errors or how much something is costing you, when you can see that in black and white in front of you, it makes that change or wanting to make that change a little bit easier. And without that, like you say, the people that don't journal, the people that don't trade, they're oblivious to what mistakes are costing them, and they never improve because they're not doing that work.
But
it's really important that you brought that up.
It's funny because how many traders or how many people get into trading and they hear someone say, oh, you should be journaling. But how many of us actually were journaling and looking at all of our trades individually when we first started trading? None of us. No one gets into trading and instantly starts journaling. We all, I feel like we could guess, but I'm going to say 90 or 80% of traders, 8 out of 10 guys that you sit down and they say they are traders, they did exactly what Mike is saying, which is what I did as well. I did not take accountability for all of my trades. I ran from my mistakes. I didn't think there was any value in them when it is literally the opposite. All the value is in the mistakes. And you have to go through this sometimes frustrating process as a trader of like failure, learn, take from failure, apply, to finally get to the point to say, I was literally doing some of these things backwards and that was holding me back, And I think we mentioned this a few times, community is what really helps you get there, because everyone listening to this is going to think like, okay, Mike, how did you make that turn? How did you make that mindset shift? But what you've said multiple times is it always comes back to community, right? So what would you say to a new guy, maybe new to ASFX, not maybe new to trading like yourself, has been through some other courses, and now they hear us, they think about this. How do they make the most out of their membership to ASFX, Mike?
And this is something that really I have not found anywhere. I've taken multiple courses. You can look these dudes up on Instagram. They have the followers, they have the this, they have the that. I've taken their course. You name it, I've taken it. And up until now, it's the fact of that community following these rules, following this course, and following the system. Especially for me, because I really had to outwork and kind of go through a tougher process than I'd like to see a lot of traders go. It's a great way to really like shorten your learning curve, is having that community. Because for me, I could still be at so many other areas making the same mistake, but if it wasn't for that community and being able to share and collaborate and see the different points of view and perspectives on the same markup, trading the same system, it's a huge difference. Because it took me a good amount of time to work all those bad habits that I had prior to really be able to see the difference. So having that collaboration and community, it's almost priceless, honestly, because when you have that, you can really shorten your learning curve by so much. Like, I would almost recommend, a trader, if you're looking anywhere Forex wise, like go with ASFX, because you're going to eliminate like a few years worth of just tough learning curve and mental up and downs that you can honestly get rid of. Where if you just do this and you take this course and you just, even if you're shy, because I'm not the most open person, but if you just share and share, you'll run into somebody. You'll run into someone where you get along, and before you know it, you guys are sharing charts, you're sharing this, you're sharing that, or just in the group as a whole. So it's really priceless, especially if you're trying to shorten that learning curve and get to where you want to go trading wise.
Mike Diaz with this sick ad. How much do I have to pay you for that, bro? That was very well said.
You're all good, man.
No, but you bring up a good point, community, and that is something we've spoken about a lot. But accountability is really underneath that. And I think what you've said very clearly is that, like, in order to grow, you have to be held accountable, whether it's to the whole group or to somebody. Even James had a group of guys that he was working with before the Black Shirt Club, and he was working with them on a smaller basis, even still inside the bigger group. We've all had that. And I think that in those small groups, we have great dialogue, which brings me to an important question. You, like we said, have been to 2 seminars and a retreat where we hung out for a weekend at a house in Orlando. The community there, the camaraderie there, speak to the people that are maybe on the fence about, especially the seminars, because we have a lot of seminars coming up this year. We just did the one in London. We have another big one in London coming up. Could you speak on maybe the value in it? Like, because a lot of people, bro, they see the course, we sell a course with Discord. They go, okay, that's all I need. I don't need to really like dive in with this seminar thing. I can watch the videos on my own. Could you speak on that a little bit?
Yeah. So when I did the Tampa seminar, that was the first one. I was maybe only a few months in.
Yep.
And, of course, I watched the course at least 2 to 3 times from there. And I felt confident. I liked what I saw from the course. I was, taking the advantage that I could. And when I saw that seminar, honestly, I was a little hesitant, because I was like, I have the course, I have what I need.
I know. That's what everybody says.
And I never been to like a seminar like that before either. So that was the first one for me. And honestly, like, I feel like if I didn't go, I would be almost months behind where I am. Even though it was a weekend seminar, I feel like it is honestly like a month to 2 months worth of progress in trading by sitting in that room, and you're in the room, you're with a group of traders from here, here, and here. We all trade the same systems, but the person next to you sees the A1 this way. I see the A1 that way. The other person sees the A1 this way. And you're all looking at the same chart, but I'm able to see things that when I'm just there at the desk by myself at my trading desk, I'm not seeing. I'm clearly overlooking that the person next to me is saying, hey, did you ever see that? and then I can note and take notes. And then not only you're there as well. So I have you, I have other traders, and we're all just going at it collaboration wise, honestly. And you're able to note things, oh, I never did this before. Maybe I'll throw this in. Or, oh, I kind of do this a lot, but I'm seeing from you that's not really ending up profitable. So let me get rid of this.
Yeah.
And it's a great process to just sharpen your skills, honestly.
Yeah. Tom, what do you think from the people, because you just hosted an event with me for the first time, and now we're already planning. Tom and I had a meeting today. It's January. We're planning for next year's big London event in December already. So Tom, what do you think from like the perspective of now being on the other side of the desk or in front of the podium, so to speak? What do you think some of these guys can take out of the seminars, the one-day events? Or how could you say they could make the most out of them?
So being on the other side, like you say, for me, it's that group environment again, like Mike's just touched on. And I think being there in person, people are a lot more willing to ask questions. It's a lot more accessible, so they can get the answers to all of the questions that they have probably been pondering for a long, long time. And not only that, it's just the relationships that you can take going forward. Like Mike said, that community, like we've set up another for all of the people that attended London. They've now got their own Discord chat. They're in there. They're having weekly weekend calls. So they've made their own sort of accountability group. Like Mike is saying, is so important because people are seeing things ever so slightly differently. But I do feel like there was a lot of aha moments in that room when we did that final exercise in the afternoon at London,
the group work,
which was the flashcard exercise. In the fact that when the best trades presented, everybody saw them and it was extremely obvious. And I think a lot of people took away from that seminar that segment is that the best trades jump out at them, and we're seeing it more and more often as we come out of that. Like, so EJ last week was a great example where everybody caught that because it was just so obvious to everybody. So I think they are really, really good to help network and build that community around you, because trading can be a lonely career,
right?
And without people that support you and help push you better, it's causing a detriment to your success and progress.
It's well said, Tom. We never told this story. You gave some info there that people listening probably don't know about yet, Tom, because the London seminar, we did the group work at the end, like we normally do, Mike, where I pair everybody up in small groups and I say, would you take this trade? And we made it a little bit more fun because, every seminar we learn things and I can tweak it and make it fun. And we're now 10 seminars deep. So London was our 10th time doing this, 10th time of me leading one of these. So at this point, we're getting pretty good at it. We run this group work exercise and I'm like, Tom, keep score. Only give people a point if they were correct to either take the trade or not take the trade. And we also had 2 Black Shirt Club members who were probably listening to this, Liam and Colin there. So we made Liam, I don't even know, James, if you know this whole story. We made Liam and Colin captains of the teams. And we had a couple other guys. So we had 4 teams. So Liam and Colin, we had the black shirt guys leading teams of people. And then we had 2 other guys that were new at the seminar. They led teams. So we had 4 teams. And it was crazy that Liam and Colin's team were not at the lead. Remember, I think it was Lee's team, right, Tom, who had the lead for most of the exercise until we started doing double points and everything started going crazy at the end. Then I think everybody was pretty close to tie. But like Tom said, it was so interesting because these people would sit there with their group and deliberate about, should we take this one? Should we not take this one? Should we take this one? And then some of them, they were like, no, of course we should take this. Of course we should take this. Of course we should take. So it was very clear that if you could just, and Mike said this already, do less, avoid those trades that end up costing you money, you easily could have won that competition. Right, Tom? That was the guys that ended up winning.
Yeah. And I think pretty much all of them would have managed to, because obviously it's quite prevalent at the minute, the funding spaces. Everybody, if they'd have sized accordingly and just appropriately, would have managed to pass a funding challenge just by taking the right trades and stopping out of the bad ones. So like we say, less is more, do it better, do it bigger. Yeah. And that was definitely something that everybody took away from that seminar.
I love the seminars, bro. Mike, maybe we'll get you to come to one this year. I'm doing one in February and then I think one 2 more throughout the year. So there'll be 3 in Tampa this year, and then the big one in London. Maybe you and me will fly to London. I'll come to Miami. We'll fly from Miami. Let's talk about part-time trading, because I know this was another area of focus we definitely wanted to touch on today. So Mike, give everybody an idea. Like, let's talk about first when you were learning how to trade. How did you because I would say you've definitely stepped into a more advanced place with your trading in the last 6 months to a year. So when you were learning, go back 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, how did you balance that with other things in life? It doesn't, because speak to the people who maybe don't have a job, but like I said, have family obligations or whatever else.
Yeah.
What kind of advice could you give to say, like, hey, if you're really pressed for time, do this, this, and this to be, you know, most efficient with that time?
Yeah. So honestly, when I first started the course and everything, I was in my senior year of college still. So I was finishing my undergrad, and at the same time, I was working at a law firm near the school I went to. I don't recommend this, but I would be driving to work and I would be having trades on MetaTrader, and I would be looking at my phone, checking to see the status of the trade, whether I was in profit or not. And that did not go well, nor was it a profitable idea. So it was a lot of really trial and error. To where I am now, I did a lot of things that now are what my morning routine is. There's a lot of things I used to do that I don't. There's a lot of things now that I'm still incorporating. So the first and foremost is, before trading, I was that person who just woke up and it's time to get to the charts, and that doesn't work. I don't care if it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, but of course, for everyone's personal preference, you're going to figure something out that, you know, you take the time for before you get to the trading desk. On top of that as well is, you know, now that you have your morning routine and you have your trading hours, you still need to have some point at nighttime to review. You know, it's going to take sacrifice. You know, everyone does have 24 hours in a day. But to keep it simple, if you want something bad enough, you'll end up, you know, doing what you need to do. So, whether it was, you know, tightening up my schedule and just getting rid of those areas of wasted time to free up more time to do review or watch the course again on the weekends, and just, you know, things like that. You just got to look at your schedule and see what you're willing to do. But, I feel that it's definitely worth it to, at least at the beginning, start to figure out, you know, the beginning makings of a morning routine, the beginning makings of just how you're going to review as well after your trading routine.
You mentioned a couple of good things in there. Review, specifically, you mentioned review the course. And I think we should just not linger on this, but mention it. How many times have you watched the course, for people that are course members and they're thinking, why is he rewatching the course?
I honestly don't know. I would say it probably at least more than 8 to 10 times. Even when I went to the Miami event, I watched the course more than enough times. That was my 3rd event, and I still went to the Miami event because I knew it was worth it. It was worth it regardless. So,
and do you take more information in each time you watch it?
Honestly, I would say so, because every time, you know, from the first time I watched the A1 course or the D1 course, every time I was able to at least find one new bullet point or 1, 2, 3 new sets of notes that I didn't write down the time before, or 1, 2 little things that I can refine that I didn't have there the time before. So I would definitely say so.
And Mark, are you trading on what time frame? Because you're trading part time with a job. Are you trading on the 15-minute swing trading? What type of trading are you doing?
Yeah, so I'm only on the 15-minute and the 1 hour, and it's really focused on the A1 and the A2, and simple as that.
If you had to pick a strategy to give to someone, Mike, like if there's a trader listening that's like, maybe I'll join ASFX, maybe I'll do something else, what would you say to them should be the first step as far as like trying to find a strategy that works?
That's a good question, because I feel you need to also ask yourself, what is my trading routine? Am I going to be at the desk from, morning to late afternoon, or am I only going to be at the desk for 1 to 2 hours, So depending on the time you're at the desk, I would really say that can kind of let you know whether, oh, it's probably best to trade on the 1 hour time frame, or it's best to trade on, the 15 minute, because you might have time to see that trade play out and you're done for the day and you go to work and do what you need to do. But aside from that, in terms of signals, you would say?
Yeah. Like strategy.
I would probably.
Would you say the A1, the A2, maybe specifically, like if you had to pick an ASFX strategy?
Yeah. In terms of ASFX strategy, just the way everyone is, I guess I would say for the majority, I would probably say the A2, because it's something that, can really get achieved fairly quickly. And you can honestly see the results. I really don't think too many people come to trading with the outlook of, this is going to be a journey. This is going to be a development. A lot of people, and I myself was guilty of this, of wanting to trade, being a trader 2 months long and expecting to make amounts that, most pro traders were trying to do, but it took them 10 years of journey. So I would really say the A2, because it's something simple, it's specific. It doesn't require you to, have tons of knowledge on market wizardry and all these formulations and this and that, and following and trying to trade with the banks and this and that everyone kinds of throws in. It's honestly super simple. It doesn't require a lot of time to be in the trade itself. So if you have a busy routine, it's very doable. And thirdly, just this, honestly, I can't keep overlooking it, but it's super simple. It really doesn't take much to just get a hold of and get a grasp of.
I think that's one of the things that people probably love most about the A2 is how simple it is, but where the A2 can end up maybe not leading you wrong, but it just presents a lot of signals. So it requires discretion and practice to really know what signals to take. So if we're talking about adding discretion into our trading and getting better at applying the discretion to our decisions, Tom, do you want to speak on that a little bit about, since, you and I have done a lot of back testing for this A2 and we've worked on it now for months. What would you say to the guys who are like, okay, I hear what Mike is saying, I want to use this A2, but I watched the webinar or I watched the course and there's a lot of A2s. So how can I apply more discretion? I know we're kind of going down an A2 rabbit hole here, but there are people listening. I'm sure if they're listening this far in, they want some strategy information, So what would you say about that, Tom?
So if we're adding discretion into the A2 and how would I go about it? I think because there are so many A2 signals and we tested 8 different variations of the A2 over 47,000 trades. So we have done some comprehensive testing for those out there and that are wondering. So for me, I think it all the main 2 elements of the A2 is there's an in-trend sort of view, which is using the A50s, the L50, the A50s, the L50 and the EMAs to find trending ideas. And then there's also the counter-trending ideas where the L50s and EMAs don't matter too much. And I think you can apply your discretion to which one suits your beliefs the best. So we have some people that specifically trade just counter trend ideas. We have some people that trade just the trend ideas. And we have seen people start to add in discretion by taking trades off levels, off specific price zones, such as Asian range high, Asian session high, weekly highs, yesterday's highs. And because it's using a zone and we are using structure, that can be discretionary because everybody sees the charts ever so slightly different, like Mike alluded to earlier. And that's something that can be applied to change the statistics or add into. So like, I think me and Austin are both trading the A2. And I think that discretion is definitely helping our win rate versus the back testing because we are managing to trade it above the back tested results. So I think that has played a big part and something that we're continuing to test. So I think for me, the two areas is structure and price action, and then obviously the counter trend and in trend.
Yeah, I think that I'm in the same boat with you. I think the discretion, and Mike, you could probably speak on this a little bit. Like, it does get easier to apply as you trade a strategy more, right? Like, the more you're looking for a specific entry and the more you mark it up and back test it, like Mike was saying, the more easy it gets to say, no, I don't want that one. That's not the one. I've seen some of those be funny versus, oh, no, that's the one. That, like Tom is saying, off the Asian range high, perfect L50. This is the breakout, the retest. This is the trade I want. So I think that discretion gets easier as you practice more. So back to one thing that Mike has mentioned a couple of times, the review process at the end of the day. This is something that I think gets neglected a lot, especially by the guys that I'm coaching who are part-time traders. So is there anything you could speak on, Mike, to saying like setting a small goal or something that are like the non-negotiables of your end of day review that you would say to a guy that's really pressed, Mike, I got a job, I'm trying to trade, I got kids, and my wife is crazy. What would you say are like the 15 minutes, the 10 minutes, the things I got to just make sure I squeeze those in?
Yeah, definitely. When you go to review your trading day, the main focus is looking at your emotions at the beginning of the trade and seeing if your emotions played a part or what you saw on the screen was the main determining factor in you entering that trade. This is something I'm still working through. Is there's a lot of times during my review, I've realized there was really nothing present in the market, but I kind of created something out of nothing just by still being there. So I kind of just forced to say, oh, I kind of turned this into an A2 or turned this into this when it really wasn't there. And through that review, I was kind of able to see like, okay, actually based on what price action and what the chart is actually telling me, I kind of forced this more because I wanted to trade rather than what the chart was actually telling me. So it's always great to just, when you do that review, go through your rules and checklists and say, oh, I kind of overlooked this, this, and this because I was in the mood to get into a trade. Or I actually followed my rules. It met this, it met this, it met this, and it went in my favor or it didn't. And then that allows you to say, okay, it'll allow you to kind of have combinations of saying, oh, this went in my favor. So when I see these combos and these pros to a trade, I might start to enter these without hesitation. Or when I see these cons that are piling up against a trade, I'm going to be clearly sitting out.
That
and
makes
it'll
sense.
really allow you to kind of make things easier. Yeah.
No, it makes a lot of sense, especially because you said like paying attention to your emotions. Most people would say, oh, my end of day review is me taking pictures of my charts, put some text on it, call it a day. You're saying, what were you feeling? And then first differentiating, was this an emotional trade or a system trade? Does this follow your plan or is this emotional? So everybody listening, if you could just start doing that, separate your trades from your emotional trades to your plan trades. And then going deeper to what Mike said, with the trades that are on plan, of course, we want to drop all the trades that are emotional, but the trades that are on plan now, did they fit the rules or not? Okay, yes, I was following most of the rules. Now the outcome is what it is. Let that play out. And I think this was brought up in the Black Shirt Club, James and Tom, Chris said this the other day. I've said it before. We've all said it. These trades are one data point in a sea of data points that are compiled over the course of a year or multiple years of trading. So when you start to view the trading like each trade is just a data point, I don't know exactly where it's going to lie, plus 2%, minus 2%, plus 1%. I don't know where it's going to fall on the graph. I just know I have to follow these rules. I think that does make a big difference in your trading. That is a big page turner when you stop emotionally trading and just systematic. But look, like I mentioned about the girl in the Black Shirt Club or these people that we've worked with before, everybody's going to have a day where they blow up and go off tilt. So one of my last questions for you, Mike, since we've talked so much about emotional awareness, how are you preventing yourself from blowing up when there's the potential for that day? You've been sitting at the desk too long and now you're about to take a trade. That could be a loss, then spiral. How do you stop yourself? What are your hard stops? Or mentally, what are you doing so you never end up in that position?
Yeah. Well, first off, to start is beginning to implement that morning routine.
Okay.
Because now through my morning routine, I can kind of say before I get to the desk and start building my watch list, Am I still a little agitated? Am I still a little bit in a rushed mood? Because it's super common today. You wake up and you're like, I got to do this, I got to do this. And you're just in that rushed mood. And you really don't want to bring that to the desk because you'll either miss out on opportunities or you'll just rush into something. And that usually doesn't work out.
Yeah.
Secondly, when I'm at the desk, it's just going to be working on your discipline. In my trading plan, I have a max percentage of what I can lose for the day and for the week. So if I hit that, I need to get up and go. If I start to see myself getting agitated at the desk, I need to get up and go outside or just go do something, go for a walk, but get off of the desk. It's all going to be developmental, of course, and everyone's going to have their kind of personalized things to do, but it's just really discipline and kind of that mental check-in before you get to the desk.
It's well said. James or Tom, do you want to add anything onto that?
Maybe something that I wanted to ask earlier. It's got something to do with the morning routine and kind of like having structure. So Mark, you mentioned football earlier on. So I don't know if you played football at a high level or enjoy watching sports or played any form of sport at a high level. You look like you do. You're quite athletic. But how do you view the two, trading and sports? How do you view them when it comes to a morning routine and being disciplined like that? How do you view the two?
Yeah. So I played college football for 2 years, and then from there I just transferred and went on to focus on my education. But again, the sports side of things really helps you emphasize that discipline. The best of the best are doing things that others are not. And, that went the same for our team. When we had very good seasons, everyone was on time to our early morning workouts. Everyone was on time to watch film. Everyone was on time for practice. And we were disciplined in what we did. And the years we honestly excelled the most, we did the most film, we did the most review, and we did the most reflection of ourselves week after week.
Yep.
And we honestly held ourselves accountable as teammates to say, oh, we messed up this week, but next week and moving forward, we're going to refine this. And it's honestly the same as trading. It correlates the exact same way. You need to start to implement these things in place to where all you're doing is you're getting up and it's execution. And then you can reflect to refine that execution to just make that execution better.
Well said. Great answer, bro. Great answers today, Mike. You're bringing the fire, bro. Everybody's going to love this. Listen, for today, I think we're good. I want to leave it here because I want to see what we get as far as feedback. Everybody in the comments, whether you're watching on YouTube or Spotify, make sure you leave a comment, drop a review. Let us know if you enjoyed the conversation with Mike. We would love to have Mike. I'm sure we'll have him come back on for a round 2. But Mike, last thing, one sentence. Advice to a younger you, advice to a younger trader. In one sentence, what would you say?
Embrace the uncomfortable, honestly. I would say embrace the uncomfortable.
I like that answer. I think that you've said it so many times, bro, in this podcast. Get comfortable with the journey. Take your coat off, get settled. It ain't going to be what you thought it was going to be. Have realistic expectations. But if you settle in, you can really make it work. And I hope that everybody can take that from today's conversation, if not anything else. There was a ton of value in this. So, Mike, thank you, bro. It's always good to speak with you. And I really appreciate all the kind things you said about ASFX, but also you coming on and being willing to share your journey, share your, struggles and your successes, because other people can learn from that. They can relate to it. And you never know. I'm sure there were people listening that are motivated by hearing the stuff that you said to double down and say, you know what, I was really getting tired of this, but I don't think I'm ready to quit yet. So we're doing the good deed out here. So Mike, thank you. Tom, James, thank you always, boys. And for everybody listening, we appreciate you very much. We'll see you guys in the next episode.